Thank you. So throughout my life, I have found myself in niche communities and have appreciated all of them. Here's a picture of me, my mom, and my grandmother on our reserve in 1979 when I was only a few months old. Now, I consider myself a 70s child, and while many people wouldn't agree with that statement, I can say that the 70s remains my favorite decade of music. So here's my reserve. Was called the Alkali Lake Indian Band. Now its traditional name is the Skedam First Nation. I grew up on other reserves when I was growing up as well. And no matter where I lived, the deep value of community members, and that cultural familiarity was always present. The seeds of me becoming a lawyer were present early on. As I remember in elementary school, being treated differently from the non-Indigenous kids, I would point out the injustices to the adults, and they seemed to ignore it. The Native kids were often seated at the back of the class and ignored. So at a young age, I learned the importance of advocating for oneself and others. Then in 1995, in grade 11, the Gustafson Lake standoff happened, and that's where my interest in law really blossomed. It laid my foundation for the belief that we needed Indigenous representation and involvement in the law. In 1997, I moved to UBC to start my arts degree, and it was a whole new world. I'd come from a place where everyone knew your name, and the on-reserve population was maybe 100 or 200. So while I enjoyed the anonymity of UBC, after my second year, I did return to Esquette to live with my grandparents for the summer, where I could work during the day and dip net at night. By the time I graduated from UBC Law in 2004, with my first baby in tow, my local community was almost non-existent. I felt like an outsider, and I struggled with imposter syndrome. I entered the legal profession deeply worried I wouldn't find my place, a place in law that felt real and tangible, within reach, but also aspirational. By my third year of practicing law, with 3 children under the age of 5, I was feeling my way around my professional identity, while I was also rooting around trying to find my parenting style. But it was then that I started to recognize the importance of building my own communities, since I knew the Lower Mainland would be my home for the foreseeable future. So I started networking, building connections, advancing my professional status as a lawyer. But now I realize I was just looking for my community, a legal community where I belonged, where my lived experience was meaningful. So while I would host events to bring the legal community together, it was as much for myself as it was for everyone else. When I took my first child protection case 3 years into practice, I was immediately drawn to the work. I found a legal community that was tiny but fierce. It consisted mostly of legal aid lawyers who were compassionate and passionate advocates. The clients we had were facing the removal of their children by social workers or had already had them removed. What most people don't realize about child protection law is that it's mostly poverty-driven. While I don't like to use deficit language, most clients are struggling with housing, trauma, lack of supports, addiction, mental health, and sometimes related criminal matters. I found myself asking my clients about their community supports so that they would have people around them when they needed them. I worked with a lot of women who found the support in their newly formed communities of other mothers. I worked for those moms who attended Sheway, a pregnancy outreach program on the downtown east side, and at BC Women's Hospital. These programs to this day continue to help moms build their personal support communities if they need them. In 2014, I was hired by Legal Aid BC to kickstart a new program called the Parents Legal Centre. The PLC provides early intervention and support for parents in their child protection matters, and it's based on a collaborative model. I would represent parents, but our program also streamlined the legal aid experience with the help of a full-time advocate and an intake worker. When we opened the doors for the first PLC in 2015, we had no idea what would happen. After 8 months, I had nearly 100 clients. I continued the weekly clinics on the downtown east side and at BC Women's Hospital, meeting with all the frontline workers from every organization we could in Vancouver. We were ensconcing ourselves in the communities we were hoping to serve. Since 2015, we've opened 9 more Parents Legal Centres across the province, in Campbell River, Duncan, Victoria, Surrey, Kamloops, Williams Lake, Prince George, Terrace, and Smithers. We've helped more than 3,000 parents across 10 communities, and every community is unique. In 2019, I became the manager of this program, so I'm no longer helping clients day to day. However, I do get to see how we've changed the culture of social work in child protection work. It used to be social workers would tell parents not to get a lawyer because it would slow things down. But today, the social workers give our business cards to parents so they know where to go to for help. The reason for that shift is because we know our child protection clients and their communities. To create successful community relationships, you just have to stick to the basic principles. Show up, be responsive, know the people, be respectful. The success of our program isn't just because of great lawyering, it's because we understand the importance and hold close community culture. We provide service, for example, to the community of Port Hardy, a 2.5-hour drive from a Campbell River office. Our clients might not have a driver's license, access to a vehicle, car insurance, gas is expensive, no one to look after the kids, all of which prohibits their ability to engage in their legal case. So we bring the services to the clients in their own communities. That's where we meet them, where they feel safe and secure. We can help someone feel safe and secure in their familiar surroundings. We're reducing their stress, not triggering them by dragging them to a social worker's or lawyer's office. Here's the Building Blocks Resource Center, where parents meet with their lawyers. Another way I've supported developing communities by becoming a bencher within the Law Society. There are more than 14,000 lawyers in BC. I became a bencher because I wanted to join a new legal community, expand my experience, and give something back to the legal community. All this to say, I believe in building communities. While I have traditionally lawyered, my hope is that through non-traditional opportunities, we continue to build communities, to nurture society through our work. By caring about our communities, we can learn how to support them, how to develop relationships, how to improve people's lives. Ultimately, we all benefit when we have supportive communities on any scale.